Check, check, check. We're rolling. Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Peter Christian. I'm here with the host of the show, Diane Beck, with Windermere Real Estate. Diane has been helping buyers and sellers with real estate in the Missoula area for over 20 years and is very active in the Missoula community. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on newstalkkgvo.com, 98.3 FM and 1290 AM. Hey, welcome everybody. It is Missoula Real Estate Today. Diane Beck couldn't be with us today, but she always sends cool guests. And so, folks I haven't met before, this is always a pleasure. We're talking with Giselle Bright and Jason Saunier. One French first name, one French last name. So I'm doing the best I can here. All right. So, and they're with two men in a truck. So, Giselle, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. So now tell me a little bit about Two Men in a Truck. Obviously, the name is pretty clear, right?
It is very clear. Our services include 2 men in a truck. We go all the way up to 4 men, even more, depending on the job. 2 men in a truck originally started in the 1980s, way back on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. And it was 2 brothers, the Lansing brothers, started moving around stuff with their pickup truck to make some extra cash. Their mom made a design, it's the little scribble of the truck, and she built it up after the guys went off to college, and today we're sitting around 340 locations here in the United States. We even have some across in Europe as well.
Wow. So 2 Men in a Truck literally began with two men in a truck.
Correct.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about how you got started here in Missoula.
Certainly. Our franchisee is Devin O'Neill, and he was looking for the missing void here in Missoula, and that missing void was a moving company. We have the big van lines in town, but we don't have the more personalized moving services that the 2 Men in a Truck franchise can offer. And he was looking between 2 Men in a Truck, and I think it was College Hunks, and he ended up going with...
Well, College Hunks... I'm not sure. There's a little bit more to that than just 2 men in a truck, right?
There is.
Or you could go 2 hunks in a trunk. I mean, but that's not the franchise.
No, that's not the franchise.
That's not the franchise. Okay.
And we went with 2 men in a truck. Really liked the company culture and the values there. And
well, let's talk about that because we're going to be visiting for a half hour. So let's talk about the culture. What is it all about?
It's all about taking care of the customer as best as we can. We have this rule. It's posted in our office on a poster. It's the grandma rule. Treat everybody like you would treat your grandma. We want to make sure that everybody's taken care of and really get the job done and help them out as best as we can, moving into an extremely stressful time.
It really is. As a matter of fact, I think I've seen of the list of the things that are most stressful. First, speaking in public, right?
Check.
The second is moving away from a different location, starting a new job. But part of that is moving. And when people, whether they're moving across town or across the street or, to wherever, just across the state, there's a lot of things that go into that home. You've invested a lot in it. All your personal stuff is there. So tell me about your philosophy about going into somebody's home and working with them like that.
Certainly. So when you're going into someone's home, it is the grandma rule embodiment there. You know that they've had their memories here. They might even have their kids, the lines of them growing up, their height. And it's just making it as smooth as possible, taking care of them, and getting them to feel more comfortable about it, make them feel assured, like we're going to totally take care of everything. And Jason, he's in that position all the time as the mover and driver, helping out.
So let's give him the microphone there. All right. So okay, Jason Saunier is now you're the lead driver.
Yes, sir.
Kind of, if you will, the lead dog. If you will, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, I train all the guys, teach everyone how to drive, teach everyone how to move. We get new guys in. I show them the ways, show them the reins. if anything crazy needs to happen, the guys usually come to me and ask for advice.
So tell me about the training that you offer. Obviously, it isn't just here's a pair of gloves, we're going.
Oh
right?
yeah, for
so,
sure.
So
for sure.
how does that work?
We kind of bring them in. We kind of bring them in on professionalism. Like, you're required to wear your uniform. You're required to look good, like, presentable to the customer. We're professionals and all that other good stuff. And also, when you get to the house, you do the proper greeting. You lay the protective equipment out. You pad the furniture. We teach them how to do that. We teach them proper lifting techniques as well. Because
let's go through that, because being someone who has injured themselves in times past through various stupid ways, preparation is everything, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And you don't have to have a history in weightlifting or a power lift or anything like that, but you just have to have the basic fundamentals of you bend at the knees, you don't bend at the back. Like, try to make leverage your friend and use your tools that you're issued at the company. So
you don't need to be Hulk Hogan to do this job, right?
No, it does help though.
Well, you're a very strong guy.
Yeah, I was once a national level Olympic weightlifter. So,
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that.
So it definitely helps out, having that background and having that strength, but you really don't need it.
You got to shake this guy's hand, folks. I mean, he's like, ow!
I try.
All right. So now, how did you get into this?
Actually, I was doing a lot of training for Olympic weightlifting. I was training for nationals and just got out of the military. I was like, okay, I want to go to nationals. I got to make some money. Like, why not do something that's going to get my body moving, get my body flowing, and play off what I'm already good at? So I started moving heavy things, so just picking up furniture, carrying it around. I actually originally started off in Louisiana.
Wow.
And this is, cool temperatures out here. 90 degrees, you kidding me? Like,
yeah.
Now, I started off down there. And
well, the name Saunier makes sense now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right,
yeah, French
right.
descendant through and through.
Sure.
So, yeah, I started off down there, and I was like, it's not so bad. And then I found out that 2 Minute Truck is not only a local franchise, but an international one at this point. And I was like, wow, like I like to travel, I like to go around, and I was like, I could go to Texas and work for 2 Minute Truck. Why would you want to go to Texas, though? I was like, I could go to, Washington and work for 2 Minute Truck. I could go to New York. Like, again, why would you want to go to New York? But, all over the country, I could go wherever I wanted to, and I could still carry that job security. And as long as my skills were good enough, which they were, and as long as anyone else's skills are good enough, you can actually travel around and work for 2 Minute Truck if you try.
Well, now tell me a little bit about how you work with your. I'm assuming are they all male, or there are some females that help you out, or what?
At this particular franchise, there's only males that are, except for Giselle, that's our office girl,
right?
But
woman.
It's only office woman.
She just punched him, but he couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, it's only males that are, carrying stuff and actually being out there as movers and drivers. But I have seen women actually step up and crush some pretty good some moves before. So
All right. So what's the heaviest thing that you personally have had to lift into a truck?
We actually did. There was a 900-pound gun safe we did the other day, but that really wasn't too bad. We did it's like a really long fair bench, like a concession stand almost. And we have a 26-foot truck, and it took up the good majority of the length of the truck, maybe about 20 feet or so. And it was so heavy trying to get it up. It was just so long and so awkward. Like, you couldn't pick up high enough on one end to put it on wheels to get it into the truck. So at least I couldn't personally do it. And not only that, there was a pretty girl watching me who's furniture it was. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassing myself. I can't pick up this, 800-pound, piece of wood or whatever. So I had to have another guy come out, and we helped each other out, and we picked it up, put it on wheels, and got it inside the truck. So.
Now, one of the things that you had mentioned is that you bring the proper tools to the job.
Oh,
because
yeah,
it's not
sure.
just about brute strength, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Like, no one can physically get out there and carry 100-pound, 200-pound, 300-pound dressers for 60, 70 hours a week. Like, you have to use your tools. Like, even I start to get tired. I start to get broken down. I know the guys do too. So you really have to use your tools, dollies, lifting straps. We have carts, like, you name it, like, we've got it. So
all right, now for those who have never done this before, okay, who have called their brother-in-law on Saturday and so come on over, and they come up and they strain their back. Talk to me about go through some of these tools, because the reason you do this, first of all, you enjoy lifting.
Oh yeah,
but also you enjoy staying safe.
Oh yeah.
So talk to me about the lifting straps. How does that work? I've never seen them work.
All right,
before.
so we got what's called forearm straps. It's basically like forearm forklift. So it's just a little strap that goes around your arm, like up to your forearm, and you get 2 straps, per guy, and you loop it underneath the furniture, dryer, washer, whatever it needs to be, mattress. We usually use them for mattresses because mattress, you really have to like squish your hands together, and that puts a lot of strain on your upper back, especially going up and down stairs. You could grab it from the bottom. It would be easy, but mattresses are usually too tall. So you get these forearm straps.
And sometimes the mattresses are floppy.
Oh, they're incredibly floppy. You wouldn't believe. Like
floppy, is that a real word? It is.
Oh, okay. I use it on a daily
it's right there
basis.
in the manual.
Yeah. It's like
watch out for the floppy mattress.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Sometimes they'll come back and get you, but yeah, you just run the strap underneath it and it links up to your arm, so you have a lifting point real low. But it puts all the weight up on your arms in the center of your chest where the weight should be. So it allows you to carry things like, 4 or 5 inches above the ground without actually having to lean over and carry it at that level. So
and whenever you involve your back bending, there's always a danger there, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like we try not to bend the back at all. Like usually try to get down in full squat. Make sure you keep the back straight in a neutral position. Bend down, full squat, pick something up. So you really utilize the legs as much as possible before, sometimes you have to get weird with it and bend down, but that's really rare, and you only have to do it in certain instances.
And having moved a time or two, there's always also a strategy in loading the truck, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Where you put the heaviest items and the lightest items and all that sort of thing.
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure. I like to tell customers I'm a professional Tetris player, so get out there and... So you usually load the truck, heaviest things up front, and then you put the lighter things on top. But everything has, like, different things have different shapes, especially if we're really packing a truck. Like, you really have to kind of sit there and know what you're doing in order to fit everything inside. And frequently customers will be like, yo, you guys running out of room? Like, no, you want to take a look at the truck, and it's only 25% full. It's stacked from floor to ceiling all the way up. Couldn't fit a piece of paper in between any of the furniture, so... That also secures it for the drive because if nothing can move, nothing can break.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, what is your route? What is your range? What's your territory? Are you strictly Missoula County, Western Montana? What?
Oh no, we're all over the United States.
Okay.
So I mean, we usually do local because we're a local company. We do offer our services for interstate moves, which is to Nebraska or, Texas, wherever you want to go.
The places you don't want to go.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, why else would you want to go anywhere besides Montana? Am I right?
Right, yeah.
But yeah, so we're usually the white glove service of interstate moves, so you know where your furniture's at. The same guys load it as, who's going to drive over there. If you need to get inside of the truck at any point, like, you stop over the hotel we're staying at and we can let you access the truck or all these other things that you really miss out on if you go with other van lines because they just put it all in a tractor trailer. Tractor trailer goes
and you don't see it again, right?
You don't see it again. Sometimes, like, you don't see it again for months months on end. Us, it's like, okay, yeah, we're stopping here tonight. We're stop here tomorrow, and we're going to be there. A lot of the times we end up beating the customer to their new house, and, we hang out for a little bit and wait for them to get there, and then.
Now, how do you communicate with your customer? Is there an app, or how does that work?
Usually Giselle, she usually knocks it out pretty hard in the office, calling, doing all the consultations. But the way I personally communicate with the customer is just good old cell phone. Just pop it up. Hey, Mr., Mrs., so-and-so, sir, ma'am, how's it going? This is Jason from 2 Minute Truck. Just want to let you know we're 15, 10, 20 minutes away from your location. Are you available to meet us there? Is this time is good? Or we're finished up with a job earlier. You want us to come earlier, or you want us to wait until your estimated time of arrival?
So communication is very important.
Oh, it's incredibly important, not just in between you and the customer, but in between you and your other teammates as well. Like, I'm not going to call them employees because we really don't have employees at this business. We have teams.
Sure. So. Now, when you say 2 men in a truck, is it always 2 men, or can there be 3 or 4? Or what?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like,
I'm sorry, that's too many.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't make enough cookies.
Yeah, that's happened before. But yeah, sometimes we'll get heavy things like pianos, gun safes that are they're far too unsafe to move with just 2 guys. Like, one guy slips, there's not a guy to catch him, so this 900-pound gun safe is just going to come crashing down on him, which is completely unacceptable. So
sure. For
heavier things or bigger houses or bigger jobs, instead of making 2 guys work 20 hours a day on this house, we'll bring in 4 guys and they'll do 10 hours. Okay. So
now grab that, bring the microphone back to Giselle.
Yes.
And let's talk about, if you don't mind, talking about how do you, without being really specific,
sure,
how do you compare with, say, the great big van lines, cost-wise?
Cost-wise, we're two different breeds. It will be less expensive to go with a van line, especially if you're going long distances and back east. Like, we've had a couple phone calls for moves down to Florida, and it's hard for us to compete on those just because we are sending the same two guys from our location down and then bringing them back.
Right.
Yeah.
So in many ways, with the van lines, you're renting the truck, right? And then the different drivers get in the truck and drive maybe halfway to St. Louis and the rest St. Louis to Florida, and then they go on different.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a totally different system.
It's a different system, different program.
Okay. So where have you sent people? What's the farthest you've sent anybody with two men in a truck out of Missoula?
Out of Missoula, over the past 2 months, I would say Southern Oregon. We've had a couple bids out for California, and then we are looking at a Salt Lake City move as well. Washington and Oregon are very common for us.
All right. Now, what about the other? How well do you work with the other franchises? Do they call you and talk with you about, we can make this, but we'll need some help unloading? How does that work?
Certainly. We just had, I think it was Minnesota, called us up, and they were having to move out in Spokane, and they needed another guy. So they called up our shop. We set up a guy, picked him up in the morning, took him out for the job, and then brought him back. So we definitely do use the other franchises, especially if we're in the area. We're looking at a Maine move right now, like all the way up on the East Coast, and we would definitely borrow a guy out in Portland, Maine to finish up that job.
All right. And so that way he doesn't have to travel all the way back to Montana, but you still have to get the truck back here, right?
On the long distance moves, such as Maine, we would rent out a truck for a one-way, and then we'd fly the driver back.
Sure. Well, that's great. So, what is it that you enjoy most? Well, I realize whenever I ask that question, people say, "I always enjoy the people." But is that true or what?
It is true. It's great when you get someone who calls and they're really prepared and ready to go, and you can plan them out that way. But it's also nice when you're able to help someone out that they need a short, quick move, and you're just their hero. It's amazing, especially when they're so thankful on the phone, and they always give rave reviews to the guys. It makes it worthwhile.
All right, so tell me about your trucks. So Jason, grab the phone, the microphone there.
Yeah.
Tell me about your trucks. I mean, I'm assuming you have like regular pickup trucks, vans. How many trucks do you have?
We're actually running about 2 trucks right now. So, about 2.5 trucks, that's what we say. But
Okay.
we have a service truck, which is just a small little pickup. We usually take it out on pack jobs if we're packing a house. Like, no sense in bringing the big truck out. We have a 16-foot truck with a lift gate that really excels in really heavy things because our other trucks have ramps. Last thing you want to do is be trying to, push a really heavy gun safe or piano up a ramp when you can just put it on a lift gate in a smaller truck. And the smaller truck also excels on small apartment moves, places where it's really hard to get a big truck into. And, frankly, the customer doesn't have very much furniture. So you come in with a smaller truck, knock that out. And then we have our bigger trucks, which is our 26-foot box truck, which you've probably seen driving around. It's just a big old Ford, and that sucker it's decked out, man. You got LED lights on the inside, hard oak wood floors. It's a sight to behold to see the inside of it. Everything's organized, everything's swept out. Like, it looks like a basketball court on the inside.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you're done, you could have a disco party in there.
Yeah, we've thought about it.
Talk to me a little bit about you just mentioned that in addition to moving stuff, you will help people actually pack up.
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Because for those of us who've we've been living in our house for 30 years, okay? So you probably can imagine all the stuff. Now, do you encourage people to get rid of things first, or are you saying, hey, we'll just take it the way it is?
I'll take it the way it is. I'm not going to sit there and tell you how to live your life. If you want to pack away 20 sewing machines, I'm there. I go by the hour, so.
All right. But the actual methods of packing is packing up boxes. That could be an art form too, right?
Oh, for sure. It definitely is, because you want to make sure that if a properly packed box you should be able to drop it from the very top of the truck down to the floor and nothing breaks. It could be full of wine glasses.
Wow.
And that's kind of how we teach our guys to pack. So
help me out here. If you're not giving away any trade secrets,
all right,
how do you do that? I mean, are you just talking about miles and miles of bubble wrap or what?
I mean, it really depends on the pieces. Sometimes we get really fragile, like trinkets and different things like that we'll wrap in bubble wrap. but it's really just minimizing the amount of movement that can happen with inside of the box. So it's just basic physics when you think about it. So it's like if the glass starts moving inside of the box, and it's going to get scratched, it's going to get broken. But if you mitigate the possibility that anything can move, then nothing's really going to break.
So basically, it's the most efficient use of space.
Yes.
Right? Because believe it or not, in my youth, I was a box boy at a local grocery store.
Wow.
And I was the champion bagger.
Oh, wow, okay.
Because I just had a gift of basically putting stuff in and handing it to the customer, and they would go out to the car and it would put it in the back seat. It would now tip over. Mm-hmm. I was proud of that.
It's the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, so basically the same concept.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just don't put the tomatoes on the bottom of the sack.
Oh yeah, for sure. Obviously.
So are there some guidelines for you when you're putting things together? There's always a hierarchy, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You always want to put this is really important. We get this a lot. Sometimes customers will fill up a big tote with nothing but books. And I'm perfectly fine with lifting 200-pound totes all day, but some guys are like, oh, we have to go up the stairs with this 200-pound box. You usually want to condense all of your heavier things, canned goods, books, tools, different things like that, like things that are going to take up a lot of weight. You want to put them in a smaller box. And things like comforters, pillows, clothes, you want to put them in a larger box so that way they're lighter and they're easier to carry. Last thing you want is a big 18 by 18 box that weighs 250 pounds. You're trying to pick it up. It's not going to be a good day because then the box is just going to fall apart.
Well, yeah, I would imagine that you have some limitations because you're talking cardboard here.
Oh, yeah,
you're not
for sure.
talking cast iron or anything, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah.
All right. Well, all right. So as we are moving forward, we're putting the boxes together. I'm imagining you've got lots of different sizes to work with.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's all like nice little Tetris pieces, like I said earlier. So you really just you can look in the truck and see, like I've been doing it long enough to where I can look and be like, that piece of furniture will fit right there. And it'll be within a quarter of an inch of being right. Or I'm not perfect. Like I will make mistakes. Like, but about 80% of the time, I'm usually pretty close on it. So I can look at a couch and I can tell a customer like, I'm sorry, it's not going to fit downstairs and around the corner. It's just too long. It's too big. I'm more than willing to show you, but if you want to take my advice, I don't think it's going to fit. So.
Well, that's important because you have to be able to eyeball things to say, I'd love to get this king size mattress and bed through around that hallway and around, but it won't. It literally
sometimes
because it won't bend, right?
Yeah, sometimes you physically cannot put things in certain areas. So, and a lot of the times, like I feel like that's the customer forgets about how big their furniture is. Sometimes when they're downsizing, you got this big sectional couch and you put it in their living room that looks big when it's empty, but once you put that in there, like, oh wow, this takes up all my living room space. I have no room for the TV. But
so now, when you're moving things like TVs and sofas and especially really fine furniture, is there a technique to? Or do you cover them with blankets or?
For sure.
How does that work?
So we bring in our moving pads, they're pretty decent size, really quilted pad, heavy duty. We'll throw it over all furniture. Sometimes 2 or 3 pads, depending on the piece and how big it is, and we cover it from top to bottom. Make sure everything, every corner, every piece of wood, every piece of cloth is all covered up. And then we take basically a really heavy-duty saran wrap, which you wouldn't want to wrap your sandwiches in it. You'd never get it back. But then we begin to wrap their furniture, and it really just holds it all together, holds the drawers shut, holds the cushions on the couch. I can actually move a couch completely wrapped up, cushions on it, blankets on it, and deliver it to the house with everything in the exact same position. So
wow. Now, again, this is something that you had to learn and develop for yourself,
yeah,
right?
For sure. Through trial and error sometimes. Sometimes, the veteran mover would be like, hey, man, it's easier to do it this way. Like, oh, well, hot dog, I've been doing it the hard way the whole time. So
you bet. But what I'm seeing with you, Jason, is it sounds like your job is really fun.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely have a lot of fun with it. If you don't have fun with it, you're not going to last. So it really boils down to it. It's a hard knock life. You're carrying heavy stuff. You have to be a tough guy to do it, but you really have to be a fun guy to do it. That's more important than anything else.
Well, my very first radio boss, when I was younger than you, long time ago, he looked me in the eye and says, Peter, if it ain't fun, it ain't good radio.
There you go.
And I would imagine in any job you're doing, right?
Yeah.
If it isn't going to be fun and enjoyable, why would you want to do it?
Exactly. You got to keep the motivation up. You got to keep the spirits up because sometimes the guys are dragging, sometimes they're hurting. Like,
Yeah, let me ask you that. How do you motivate guys? I realize you probably like to pick your team and you know who you work well with. But when you find somebody who's just kind of dragging, they just haven't got it that day, how do you help them get it?
well, it really comes off of really good leadership roles, and if they can look out and they can see, the guy who's in charge, the guy that's leading, is working hard. He's picking up the heaviest thing. He's going the hardest. He's like, hey, man, you need a hand with that. Like, really being proactive, really being fun. It's kind of like one bad apple can ruin a stack of good apples, but one really good apple can completely, even though that's not physically possible, but one good apple can really benefit everything else. So if you really get out there and as the leader, if you pick up the heaviest thing, if you do this, if you do that, the guys are going to want to follow you. Like the other day, it was pouring down raining, and the only way we could get to the ramp was to walk through about 10 inches of water to get to the ramp.
Lovely.
And I immediately just stood out there, feet in the mud, water up to my knees. I was like, all right, who's going to get the ramp with me? And no one hesitated to step out into the water with me, get our feet wet, and get the ramp. So you really have to step up. You have to own it. That's really just the basics.
Well, you even sound like a military guy. No, seriously. I'm the child of two lifers in the Marine Corps. Okay. So my mother was a DI sergeant.
Yeah.
So tell me how that training helps you in this job.
It really, it definitely does. Like the leadership, people are in charge. Some people aren't in charge. Like it's definitely how everything has a specific line. Like there's a food chain to certain things, and sometimes you're not the biggest bear in the woods, or sometimes you're the smaller bear in the woods. Like you really have to kind of understand what's going on, like know your place. But if you can come up with a better idea, I'm always down to hear better ideas and better plans. And it's really just, it's that easy.
Tell me if you wouldn't mind, Jason.
Okay.
We're talking with Jason Saunier, by the way, from Two Men in a Truck. What is your goal when you're handed a slip and says, well, you need to go to 123 Elm Street? So what is your goal when you get there?
Oh, my goal. I always want to beat the estimate. So I want to beat the computer. The computer, it has an algorithm that tallies up based on all of the furniture in the houses after we get the estimate completed. And it estimates, okay, 2 guys, it's going to take 5 hours to complete this job. I like to get there and be like, oh, we did it in 4.25 hours, so I'm better than the computer. So it's kind of like man versus machine,
Cool. I'll give the microphone back to Giselle. Now let's talk about you. What's your goal? What motivates you when you get to work in the morning?
I want to make sure the estimates are as accurate as possible. We want no surprises for the customer. And that can be difficult, especially when you forget that other couch that's down in the basement that also needs to come. So making sure lines of communication are open and getting the guys as much information as possible so they can complete their jobs.
Is there a warranty with your work? Do you offer a guarantee? How does that work?
We do offer full valuation for moves, local and interstate. It's up to $50,000 coverage of your items. So if anything is damaged, we'll replace it or get it fixed so that it's back in working order. Okay,
so now we need to, believe it or not, we've 28 minutes already.
Oh, wow.
So we need to get down to the nuts and bolts of how to contact you. For Two Men in a Truck, if we find we want to move across town or across the country, how do we get in touch with you?
Certainly. You can get in touch with us in a couple ways. One is through our website. It's 2 Men in a Truck here in Missoula, and it'll pop up on your Google if you type it in. And then you can also contact us over the phone. Our office phone number is 406-251-9818. When you call in, just kind of give us an idea of what days you're looking at. We do book out pretty far. We're about 2 weeks out right now.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, things are looking good. And what the information that we need from you is when you're thinking about moving, your addresses, and then your inventory. We can build an estimate based on that information.
Now, do we need to be fairly specific about what we're going to be moving? Or do you ask the homeowner to estimate the number of pieces, or do you go out and check that, or how does that work?
There's 2 ways that we do that. There's the on-the-phone walkthrough. What we'll do is I'll have you start on one side of your house, and you just let me know what floor you're on and what room you're in. So if you're in a bedroom, you'll say, there's a queen-size bed, there's a dresser, a couple of boxes, and I go from there.
And we're almost out of time. Give us your phone number one more time.
Alrighty, our office phone number is 406-251-9818.
Thanks, you guys. Did a great job. We appreciate it. And that's going to do it for Missoula Real Estate today. We will see you next week right here on KGVO. Thanks for tuning into Missoula Real Estate today. We hope you found the information over the last 30 minutes to be helpful. If you have any suggested topics for future Missoula Real Estate Today programs, or any questions about buying or selling real estate, please email Diane. Here's the address. It's dianebeck@realtor.com. That's dianebeck@realtor.com. We'll see you next week on News Talk KGBO.com, 98.3 FM and 1290 AM.